I moved into my apartment 3 months ago, and there's a man who stands in the parking lot at night. He's always in the same spot, under the broken streetlight near the dumpsters. I noticed him the first week but didn't think much of it. People smoke outside, people take calls, but he just stands there, facing my building, and he's always smiling, not laughing at his phone or talking to someone. Just smiling into the darkness, hands at his sides, perfectly still. I mentioned it to my neighbor Marcus, asked if he'd seen him too. Marcus got quiet, then said yeah, he'd noticed him a few times, thought maybe he was homeless or waiting for someone. But the way Marcus said it, quickly, like he didn't want to talk about it, made me uneasy. The smile is what bothers me most. I can see it from my third-floor window, even in the dim light. It's too wide, too constant. No one holds an expression like that unless something's wrong with them. I started keeping my curtains closed, but then I'd catch myself peeking out, needing to know if he was still there. He always was. Same position, same smile. At 11 p.m., at 2 a.m., at 4 a.m. when I'd wake from anxiety dreams, I started photographing him through my window, building evidence. Same blue jacket every time, same build, same posture. In one photo where I zoomed in, I could see his eyes were open too wide, unblinking, and his smile had this quality like his face was stuck that way, muscles locked in an expression that must have been painful to hold. Last week I came home late from my sister's place, almost midnight. I parked and he wasn't in his usual spot under the streetlight. Relief flooded through me, the kind that makes you realize how tense you've been. I grabbed my bag and locked the car, and that's when I saw him. He was standing between two cars, closer than he'd ever been, maybe 30 feet away, still smiling. We made direct eye contact for the first time, and his smile somehow seemed to widen, though I don't know if it actually did or if seeing it up close just made it worse. His eyes were completely fixed on me, tracking my movement. I walked quickly to my building entrance, forcing myself not to run, hands shaking as I swiped my key card. The door clicked open. I stepped inside and turned to look back through the glass. He had moved closer, now standing at the edge of the parking lot, still watching me, still smiling. I reported it to the building management. They said they'd checked the security footage. 2 days later, they emailed saying their parking lot cameras have been malfunctioning for months, recording over old footage too quickly, and they only had the past 48 hours saved. By then he knew I'd reported him, apparently, because he'd changed his pattern. They found nothing useful. I asked about patrol, about doing something, anything. They suggested I contact the police if I felt threatened, so I did. The officer was polite but clear. Standing in a parking lot isn't a crime. No threats made, no approach, probably just someone with mental illness or nowhere else to go. He took my statement and said they'd increase patrols in the area. That was 6 days ago. I've seen one patrol car once at 3 p.m. when the man is never there anyway, but I've started noticing other things. Small things that didn't register before. The same car appears in my rearview mirror during my commute sometimes, always several cars back, never quite close enough for me to see the driver clearly. A dark sedan, nothing distinctive. When I take a different route, I don't see it. When I take my normal route, there it is again. I got the license plate finally, ran it through a friend who works at the DMV. It came back to a rental company. I called them asking about the renter, but they wouldn't give me information without a police investigation. The police said without proof of following or threatening behavior, they couldn't pursue it. Just someone who happens to drive the same route, they said. Maybe it is coincidence. But twice now I've seen that same car in my work parking garage, idling on a lower level when I leave for the day. 3 nights ago I came home to find my apartment door unlocked. I always lock it, compulsively check it twice, but the deadbolt was turned and the handle was open. Nothing was missing, nothing obviously disturbed. But my laptop had been moved from my desk to my kitchen counter, and it was open, which I never leave it. I called the police again. They came, looked around, took notes. No signs of forced entry, and I had to admit I'd given my sister a spare key months ago, and the building maintenance has a master key. Maybe I had forgotten to lock it. Maybe I'd moved the laptop myself in a tired moment. The officer seemed irritated, like this was the 3rd time I'd called about unconnected incidents. After he left, I checked my laptop's browser history. Someone had been looking at my social media profiles while I was at work, my email, my photos folder, my documents. The last search entered at 3 p.m., my full name in a People Finder website, showing my phone number, previous addresses, my parents' names and city, my sister's name. Last night he wasn't in his usual spot under the streetlight. I stood at my window for 20 minutes, scanning the parking lot, feeling that absence like a threat rather than relief. I tried to sleep but kept getting up to check the window, the door locks, the peephole. Around 2 a.m., I looked through the peephole and saw something that made my blood go cold. He was standing in the hallway, right outside my door, maybe 3 feet away, just standing there, smiling, looking directly at the peephole like he knew exactly where my eye was. I stumbled backward, grabbed my phone to call 911, hands shaking so badly I dropped it. When I looked through the peephole again, he was gone. I called anyway. The police came 30 minutes later, checked the hallway, the stairwells, the parking lot. Nothing. They asked if I was sure I'd seen someone, asked about my stress levels, suggested I might benefit from talking to someone about anxiety. This morning I found a note slipped under my door, printed in plain computer text. I can see you looking for me. I like that you notice me. We're going to be very close soon. I've called the police again. I'm waiting for them now. I don't think they're going to be able to help me. He knows where I live. He's been inside. And I think he's someone who works here, someone with keys, someone who's supposed to be here. I just don't know which one. Everyone in this building smiles at me now, and I can't tell which smile is his. My son Tommy is 6 years old, and 2 months ago he started talking about his new friend at the park. A nice man who plays with him on the swings, who knows good games, who gives him candy sometimes and always smiles. My stomach dropped when he first mentioned it. I asked Tommy what the man looked like. He said he's tall, has dark hair, wears a gray coat, and he smiles all the time, like it's stuck on his face, even when Tommy falls down or says something sad. I felt ice in my veins. I asked what games they played. Tommy said the man asks him questions mostly, like what's our address, when are we usually home, does he have his own bedroom, what does mommy do for work? All while smiling, being so nice and friendly. I told Tommy very seriously that he should never talk to strangers, that this man wasn't his friend. Tommy looked confused and said the man wasn't a stranger because he knew Tommy's name, knew our dog's name was Biscuit, knew that we just painted Tommy's bedroom blue last month. He said the man told him they were becoming good friends, and that soon he'd get to see inside our house, maybe come for dinner. I asked when this happened, expecting Tommy to say weeks ago. Tommy said yesterday after school, at the park near the library where his after-school program takes the kids. Today too, during their outdoor time. The man had been there both days, waiting on a bench, smiling at Tommy until Tommy came over. I called the after-school program immediately. They were horrified, said they'd file an incident report, increase supervision. But when I pressed them about what happened, they admitted the park is public. They can't control who's there. They watch the kids but can't physically prevent an adult from talking to a child in a public space. They suggested I speak with the police. I did. I brought Tommy to the station and he described the man to a sketch artist. Tall, maybe 6 feet, dark hair, pale skin, gray coat. And the smile, which Tommy drew himself with red crayon, too wide, too fixed. The officer said they'd patrol the park more frequently, have someone in plainclothes monitor the area during after-school hours. They asked if the man had touched Tommy. He hadn't. Asked if he'd tried to get Tommy to go somewhere else. Not yet. The officer was kind, but I could see the reality in his eyes. Until the man actually commits a crime, they can't do much. We stopped using that park. I started picking Tommy up directly from the program, instead of letting him attend their outdoor time. I thought we were safe. Then one evening, Tommy was drawing in his room and called me in to show me his picture. It was our house, carefully drawn with the blue bedroom window marked, and next to the house was the man, smiling. I asked when he'd seen the man near our house. Tommy said the man had been standing across the street yesterday when I picked Tommy up from school, just watching us get in the car. Smiling and waving. I hadn't noticed anyone. Tommy said he'd seen him other times too, sometimes in his car following us, sometimes walking past our house when we played in the front yard. He said he hadn't mentioned it because the man had told him it should be their secret, that his parents might not understand their friendship. I installed security cameras that night, front door, backyard, both sides of the house. Connected to my phone with motion alerts. I told my husband everything, and we agreed Tommy wasn't allowed outside unsupervised, not even in our fenced yard. We told Tommy very clearly that if he ever saw the man again anywhere, he needed to tell us immediately. No more secrets. Tommy cried and said the man would be upset, would think Tommy didn't want to be friends anymore. That terrified me more than anything, this stranger's ability to make my 6-year-old feel guilty for protecting himself. We called a child psychologist, started sessions to help Tommy understand predatory behavior in age-appropriate terms. 4 days later, the cameras caught him. 11:34 p.m., motion alert on the backyard camera. A man walking slowly along our fence line, looking toward the house. Dark hair, gray coat. When he reached the corner where Tommy's window was, he stopped and stood there for 8 minutes just looking up at the dark window, smiling. I could see it clearly in the infrared camera. that horrible stretched smile. My husband called 911 while I watched the live feed, watched this man stand outside my child's window in the middle of the night. He didn't try to enter, didn't touch anything, just stood there. By the time police arrived 12 minutes later, he was gone. They took the footage, canvassed the neighborhood, found nothing. The detective assigned to the case said this was stalking, that we should document everything, keep the footage, call immediately if he returned. He didn't return to our property, but we saw him other places. At the grocery store, standing in the parking lot near our car when we came out, smiling at Tommy through the window before walking away. Outside Tommy's school during pickup, standing across the street with other parents and watchers, smiling. Always where he had a right to be, always technically doing nothing illegal, always making sure we saw him. We filed for a restraining order, but the judge said without knowing his identity or having proof of explicit threats, she couldn't grant it. The detective ran the security footage through facial recognition, but got no hits. He's either never been arrested or very careful. We're moving. We listed our house yesterday, and we're staying with my parents 3 hours away until it sells. Tommy keeps asking if the man will find us at the new house. I don't know how to answer that because I saw him yesterday in the parking lot of my parents' apartment complex. I'd never mentioned to anyone where they lived, never posted it online, never told Tommy's school. But there he was, leaning against a car, watching our building entrance, smiling like he'd won something. I don't know how he found us. I don't know how to make him stop. And the police keep saying until he actually does something, until he tries to take Tommy or hurt him or makes an explicit threat, their hands are tied. So we wait, and he smiles. And Tommy doesn't sleep anymore without nightmares. Neither do I. I'm a home health nurse, and I visit patients in their houses for care. Mr. Garrett is one of my regulars, an 84-year-old man with limited mobility who lives alone in a small house at the end of a rural road. He's been my patient for 8 months, always pleasant and chatty. But 6 weeks ago, he started mentioning a man who's been bothering him. A man who comes to his house at odd hours, stands outside his windows at night, and always has this strange, constant smile. I assumed it was confusion at first, mild dementia mixing dreams with reality. But Mr. Garrett was insistent and specific. He'd show me exactly which windows, describe the man in detail. Middle-aged, average height, dark jacket, and that smile that never changed, never relaxed, like his face was frozen that way. Mr. Garrett said it started about 2 months ago when someone knocked on his door around 10 p.m. He didn't answer because he doesn't open the door after dark, but he looked through his window and saw a man standing on his porch, facing the door, smiling. The man knocked 3 more times, patient, methodical, then walked away. Since then, the man returns every few nights. Sometimes he knocks. Sometimes he just stands in the yard, visible in the window, watching the house, always smiling. Mr. Garrett called the sheriff's department twice, but both times the man was gone before deputies arrived. They told him to call when it's happening, but Mr. Garrett doesn't move fast enough to get to the phone and call while the man is still there. By the time he reaches the phone, the man has disappeared back into the darkness. I checked the house thoroughly during my next visit, thinking maybe someone was casing it for robbery. Mr. Garrett lives on a fixed income, but he has some valuables, antique furniture, a coin collection. All windows had locks, but some were old and flimsy. I helped him reinforce them and suggested he get a security camera or Ring doorbell. His nephew installed a doorbell camera the following week and a motion sensor light in the backyard. I felt better knowing he had some protection. Then the camera caught the man. 3 nights after installation, at 1:47 a.m., motion alert. The footage showed a man walking up to Mr. Garrett's front door, standing directly in front of the camera, looking into it, smiling. He stood there for 4 minutes, not knocking, not trying the door, just smiling into the camera. Then he walked calmly down the steps and disappeared. The nephew called the sheriff immediately and forwarded the footage. The sheriff's department took it seriously this time. They ran the face through their database but got no matches. They increased patrols on that road and advised Mr. Garrett to keep doors locked and call 911 immediately if the man approached again. 2 detectives came to interview Mr. Garrett, asking if he recognized the man, if he had any disputes with neighbors, if he owed anyone money. Mr. Garrett didn't recognize him at all. The detectives said the behavior suggested mental illness, someone fixated on Mr. Garrett for unknown reasons, possibly someone who'd been a patient at the mental health facility that used to be nearby before it closed 5 years ago. Many of those patients were never properly transitioned to community care. The smiling, they explained, could be a tic or compulsive behavior associated with certain conditions. it didn't make it less frightening. The man came back 4 times over the next 2 weeks, always at night, always captured on camera. Sometimes he'd knock, sometimes he'd walk around the house, peering in windows. Once he tried the back door handle, found it locked, and stood there smiling at his own reflection in the glass for 6 minutes before leaving. Mr. Garrett stopped sleeping through the night. He'd doze in his recliner with lights on, jumping at every sound. I found him exhausted during my visits, his blood pressure elevated, his anxiety affecting his health. I coordinated with his nephew to have someone stay with him, but the nephew works long hours and could only manage a few nights a week. We discussed assisted living, but Mr. Garrett refused to leave his home of 40 years because of some disturbed man. Then it escalated. Last week, Mr. Garrett's nephew arrived for his overnight stay and found the back door ajar. He called the sheriff before entering, and they cleared the house together. Nothing was missing, but someone had definitely been inside. Food moved in the kitchen. A chair pulled out from the dining table, muddy footprints through the hallway, and in Mr. Garrett's bedroom, on the nightstand next to where he slept, was a Polaroid photograph. The photo showed Mr. Garrett asleep in his bed, taken from the doorway of his bedroom. The timestamp on the camera's date function said it was taken 3 nights prior, a night when Mr. Garrett had been alone. Someone had been inside his house, in his bedroom, photographing him while he slept. The detectives took the photo as evidence and confirmed the door lock had been picked, subtle scratches around the mechanism that Mr. Garrett wouldn't have noticed. The sheriff's department set up a stakeout the next 2 nights, but the man didn't return. They couldn't maintain indefinite surveillance. They advised Mr. Garrett to stay elsewhere until they apprehended the suspect. The nephew insisted Mr. Garrett come stay with him in town. Mr. Garrett agreed, shaken badly by the photograph. I helped him pack some essentials yesterday, and while we were carrying things to the car, I saw someone standing at the tree line beyond his property. Dark jacket, standing completely still, smiling. I shouted and pointed, and the nephew saw him too this time. He called 911 and ran toward the trees, but the man disappeared into the woods. When deputies arrived and searched, they found a small clearing about 50 yards into the trees where someone had been camping. A sleeping bag, food wrappers, binoculars, and a notebook. The notebook was filled with times and dates, logging Mr. Garrett's routine. When lights went on and off, when I arrived for visits, when the nephew came, when the mail was delivered. Weeks of surveillance. The handwriting was cramped and repetitive, and on the last page, written over and over, "He will invite me inside. We will be friends. He will let me stay." The deputies have the notebook now, and they're trying to identify the man through forensic analysis. Mr. Garrett is staying with his nephew indefinitely, but 2 days ago, the nephew called me, voice tight with fear. He'd seen the man standing outside his apartment building, 3 towns away from Mr. Garrett's house. Standing in the parking lot at night, smiling up at his window. "He found us," the nephew said. "I don't know how, but he found us. We've involved state police now. We're pursuing harassment and stalking charges." But the man hasn't been caught yet, and Mr. Garrett barely leaves his nephew's apartment, terrified that the smiling man is still watching, still waiting, still believing they're going to be friends. I work security at an office building downtown, night shift, alone from 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. except for the cleaning crew that comes through around midnight. It's boring work mostly, monitoring 12 security cameras, doing walkthroughs every 2 hours, making sure doors are locked. 2 months ago, I started noticing a man on camera 4, which covers the 4th floor east hallway. He'd appear sometimes during my rounds, always in the same spot near the elevator, just standing there, facing the camera, smiling. The first few times I saw him, I assumed he was working late, maybe someone from the accounting firm on that floor. But when I'd get up there during my physical rounds, the hallway was always empty, every office locked, no one there. I started paying closer attention to camera 4 specifically. The man would appear at random times, never when I was actively watching, but when I'd scan back through recorded footage, there he'd be. Standing in that hallway, sometimes for 30 seconds, sometimes for several minutes, always in the same spot. Always facing the camera directly, always with that smile, wide and fixed and unnatural. I checked the building access logs, and after 6 p.m. only cleaning crew and myself had badged in. No one else should have been in the building. I reported it to my supervisor, suggested maybe someone was slipping in behind cleaning crew or had a copied access card. My supervisor reviewed the footage, saw the man, and agreed it was concerning. He said he'd follow up with the property manager. The next week, the property manager installed additional cameras and an access control reader specifically for the fourth floor. Anyone entering would need to badge in and it would log their identity. I felt better knowing we'd catch whoever this was, but the man kept appearing on camera 4, sometimes multiple times per night, and the access logs showed no one entering that floor except me during my rounds. It made no sense. The property manager accused me of falling asleep and missing people entering, or suggested the camera had a glitch showing old footage, but the timestamps were current and I was watching carefully now, paranoid about missing something. The man was getting in somehow and we couldn't figure out how. Then I started noticing him on other cameras too. Camera 7, which covers the main stairwell, caught him twice ascending the stairs toward the fourth floor. Camera 2 in the lobby showed him standing near the front entrance at 2:34 a.m. inside the locked building, smiling at the camera. But when I reviewed the lobby footage from 10 minutes before and after, there was no sign of him entering or leaving. He simply appeared in that one frame, stood there for 45 seconds based on the timestamp, then was gone. My supervisor watched this footage with me and had no explanation. He contacted the camera company thinking it was a technical malfunction, but their technician found nothing wrong with the system. The footage was genuine, not corrupted or tampered with. Someone was in the building and we couldn't explain how. I started doing more frequent rounds, going every 30 minutes instead of every 2 hours, checking doors obsessively, trying to catch him physically present. On my rounds I'd see nothing, but the cameras would catch him during the gaps between my checks. It felt like he was timing his appearances, like he knew my pattern and was deliberately avoiding me. My supervisor authorized overtime and had the day shift guard stay late a few nights so 2 of us could coordinate, one watching cameras while the other did physical sweeps. That's when we found something disturbing. During a coordinated check, I was on the 4th floor searching offices, while day guard Davis watched the cameras. Davis radioed me saying the man had just appeared on camera 4, was standing in the hallway right where I was. But I saw no one. I was alone in that hallway, could see both ends clearly, and no one was there. Yet on camera, Davis said he could see the man standing approximately 15 feet from where I stood, smiling at the camera, seemingly oblivious to my presence right next to him. We reviewed that footage together afterward, and it was impossible, but there it was. Me standing in the hallway doing my check, and approximately 15 feet away, partially transparent but definitely visible, the man standing in his usual spot. Smiling, you could see through him slightly, see the wall behind him, but his features were clear. His smile was clear. Davis and I both watched this footage multiple times. We showed it to our supervisor. He called the property manager, who called the building owner, who insisted we contact the police. The police came, reviewed everything, and honestly seemed baffled. One officer suggested it could be someone who had died in the building years ago and been caught on camera somehow, but that's not how cameras work. The other officer said it looked like someone had hacked our system and was inserting footage of this man remotely, maybe as a prank or to frighten us. They took copies of everything and said they'd investigate. The tech company came back, did a comprehensive security audit of our entire camera system. They found evidence that our system had been compromised 3 months ago, around the time the man first appeared. Someone had gained remote access and was indeed inserting pre-recorded footage of this man into our live feeds at random intervals. Very sophisticated work, the technician said, requiring significant technical knowledge. They closed the vulnerability and assured us it couldn't happen again. We all felt relieved that there was a logical explanation, that it was just some hacker messing with us, not someone actually in the building. We changed all passwords and access codes, increased digital security. The footage of the man stopped appearing. 1 week went by with nothing, then 2 weeks. We thought it was over. Last week I was doing my 2 a.m. round on the 4th floor, and I found something that made my blood freeze. Taped to the wall exactly where the man always stood in camera 4 was a printed photograph. The photo showed me, sitting at my security desk, taken from behind, showing the bank of monitors I watch every night. And standing behind me in the photo, leaning over my shoulder, close enough to touch me, was the man, smiling. The photo was dated from 3 nights ago. I grabbed it and ran back to my desk, checked all the recorded footage from 3 nights ago, every camera, every angle. There was no one behind me. I was alone all night. But the photo was real, printed on photo paper, showing impossible proof that someone had been standing behind me while I worked. I quit that night, turned in my badge and keys and left. My supervisor called the next day saying they'd found more photos taped around the building, 12 of them total, all showing me during my shifts from angles where no cameras exist, all showing the man somewhere in frame, in the background or nearby, always smiling, and all dated from nights over the past 2 months. Whoever he is, hacker or stalker or something worse, he's been in that building with me all along. The cameras were hacked to hide him, not create him. He's real. And he's been watching me work every single night, getting close enough to photograph me, standing right behind me while I stared at monitors that showed me nothing. I don't know who he is, I don't know what he wanted. But when they checked building access logs going back 6 months, they found something. Someone had cloned my access badge 2 weeks before I started working there. Every night I badged in, someone else badged in exactly 3 minutes later. Every night I left, someone left 2 minutes after, mimicking my schedule, following me in and out. The police are investigating, but they don't have any leads. And last night, even though I don't work there anymore, I saw him, standing outside my apartment building at 3 a.m. when I looked out my window because I couldn't sleep. Same smile, same posture. He knows where I live now. I filed a police report and I'm staying with friends, but I keep thinking about all those nights I sat at that desk, watching those cameras, thinking I was alone. He was right behind me, smiling, and I never knew.